This morning, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is standing by his accusations that the Indian government was involved in the killing of a BC Sikh leader and asking for answers.
Government of India needs to take this matter with the utmost seriousness. We are doing that. We are not looking to provoke or escalate. We are simply laying out the facts as we understand them.
India, of course, is denying any connection to the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar outside a Sikh temple in Surrey in June. The Indian government has called these accusations absurd and motivated. The potential implications of these allegations took center stage Tuesday, but Western allies have not said much since then, reluctant to speak out against India. While we saw signs of a crumbling relationship with India at the G20 summit last week, a lot of people are trying to understand where these escalating tensions came from. For a closer look this morning, we are joined by Anil Verghese, Associate Professor of the School of Public Policy and Administration at Carleton University. Good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
For some context here, Canada is home to the second largest Sikh population in the world. More than 770,000 Sikhs call this country home, with India being the only other country with a greater Sikh population. So what has been the reaction from the Sikh community as well as from the Indian diaspora to the Prime Minister's announcement?
Well, Anne-Marie, there is a mixed emotion in the community. There is obviously relief that this is the first step towards bringing the culprits to book. But there is also appreciation that the public acknowledgement by Canada's Prime Minister of India's potential involvement has been made. According to some in the Sikh community, this has been long overdue, something that they have always complained about. And also they're happy that the trade and commercial interests actually did not brush this matter under the carpet. There are also frustrations at the same time that this was too late. It was known that there was a threat to Mr. Nijjar's life, but nothing could be done to protect him. There is anticipation in the community that some concrete action will follow these initial steps. And there is also a sense of fear that, in at least in the minds of some, that the personal safety, will not is not really guaranteed. So that's the sort of general sense of reaction from the Sikh community.
The Khalistan movement reached a violent breaking point in the 1980s. This is after the Golden Temple was stormed by the Indian military, and then Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was killed by her Sikh bodyguards months later. What impact do these events have in India today?
Well, indeed, these episodes are actually reviving the painful memories of the blood insurgency that killed thousands of people in the 1980s. As you know, the modern Sikh independent movement, it goes back to 1940s at the time when India got its independence from the British. And there was a demand at that time a separate Sikh state should be carved out of parts of northeastern India at that time. It didn't go much distance, but it eventually became an armed insurgency that shook the country in the 1970s and 1980s. The then Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, ordered a raid to capture the militants who were sort of armed separatists who were taking refuge in the holiest shrine of Sikhism, the Golden Temple. And that raid killed hundreds of people, thousands of people, and that operation angered the Sikh community, both in India and abroad. And Indian Prime Minister was later assassinated by two of her guards. So that insurgency was eventually suppressed in a crackdown during which thousands of people were killed. And following the crackdown for several decades, this particular independence movement for the Sikh land had become dormant for a number of decades, but it is still quite on the fringe, on the margins, I would say, in the state of Punjab, from where the people of Sikh religion originate. But this movement gets much more traction in the diaspora, where Sikhs who live in overseas in the UK, Canada, and Australia, And even there, I would say a small but influential number of the Sikhs in diaspora support the idea of Khalistan, holding unofficial referendums periodically held to reach a consensus to establish a separate homeland. So to answer your question, it doesn't have a wide support in India, especially in the home state of Punjab. But it does hold. It is hold to the heart. It is close to the heart of many Punjabi diaspora who are nostalgic about their homeland back home.
I want to bring us up to present day and the events that we're seeing unfold this week. Before the Prime Minister's revelation, talks on striking a trade deal between Canada and India, those were already put on hold. And the Minister of Trade, Mary Ng, delayed her trade mission to India with Team Canada. So where does our relationship with India go from here? Can it be repaired?
Yes, indeed. That's a very good question. India-Canada relations are at certainly a low point, but historically, Canada and India have a long-standing relationship that are built upon traditions of democracy, pluralism, and strong people-to-people connection. And as you mentioned at the outset, Canada has a large Indian diaspora. About 4% of Canada's population is of Indian origin. Occasional differences have arisen in these bilateral relations, and this movement for Sikh separatists home has been one point of tension. You mentioned as a result of the fallout of this particular episode, trade negotiations have been paused by Canada. It's an agreement that they have been working for the last decade or so, so that's come to a standstill now. And there will be other pauses in ministerial level dialogues and diplomatic working groups, and these could further impact the cooperation in investments, in energy sector, in science and technology, counterterrorism, and education cooperation. Those are some of the areas that Canada and India have been working together.
Right.
The impact of these beyond these areas are not known right now, but we could see more far-reaching effects, but it looks unlikely at this moment.
Professor Verghese, thanks for bringing us up to speed.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.